Oh, you want some tips about the Dallara IL-15? Great name, really easy to remember. It's the IndyCar Next. You want some tips about it? Well, let's get on with it. Now, this is a rolling start race. As with most IndyCars, they do a rolling start, so you don't need to worry about a standing start launch. But if you did, I think the clutch is around 55%. Someone in the comments correct me if I'm wrong, but generally, you won't need this on road course because we have to follow this beautiful Porsche. Right then, first thing to know is the races are every hour, top of the hour, on the dot, and they are a fixed setup. There is no open. They are both in C-Class, both the Road Series and the Oval Series. I haven't tried the Oval Series yet, but I've done the Road, and it is really awkward to overtake. This car is a tricky little rascal to drive. I would soften the front anti-roll bar, turn it down to 1, whatever the fixed setup is. Yes, you can change it on the fixed setup. Change it down to 1. I think that makes the front end a lot more manageable, and this thing does like to lock its front tyres up. You even look at the front tyres wrong, and they will lock up. To do that, get your brake bias down a little bit, but be careful because you can lock that rear axle on downshift, so be cautious about that. The turbo lag in first and second gear and sometimes third gear if you are still turning is mahosive. You have to be gentle with that throttle. Tickle it like it's your favourite tickly thing. Slow motion here for you. The braking, you do need to be super gentle and preferably in the straightest line as you can. Obviously we're at Laguna Seca this week, so this is the one, but I'm braking early. Look at this, nice and gentle, not peaking too high, probably around that 50-60%, and then as I get into the corners, really drag it off. Let the aero now slow you down and let the steering of the car slow you down as well to hit both them apexes. This car does not like trail braking into corners that much, which is why I think it's weird with the Formula car, but that is why, again, you tended to lock the front axles. There's only one front axle. The push-to-pass system, a lot of misinformation about this, so let me clear that up. It is a dangerous little button, particularly on slow corners like this, but that generally is the best place to use it because you're using the maximum horsepower to get up that top speed as quickly as possible. Look at that oversteer, be careful with it. We get a nice little green outline on the dash that says push-to-pass. Now you can see in the top left there, a little countdown timer. You get 150 seconds to use in the race, and you get to use that however you please. A lot of misinformation about this 15 seconds timer. The timer is only like an auto off. If you don't do anything for 15 seconds, it will automatically turn off. So at the big long straights, 15 seconds pass, it will turn off automatically. It will also turn off if you press the button again, which is here in the iRacing settings if you want to press it, or if you start braking, or if you lift off the throttle around 75%. Now, if you notice here, I actually turn off the push to pass early because there is no point running the push to pass when you're at the rev limiter. There's no point in having that extra 50 horsepower when you're banging against the rev limiter because you're not gaining any extra speed from power. All you're doing is wasting the timer. So if you do hit VMAX, as we call it, turn it off. It's pointless. How to drive this thing? You need to drive this thing quite gently and quite smoothly. Again, what I mentioned, braking zones, try and get most of it done in a braking zone. Don't trail brake too much. Lowering the brake bus will help, but watch out for locking the rear axle. You need to take the corners relatively quickly and use its mechanical grip, which there isn't that much of it because it's got quite narrow tires. So be careful about going through these slow corners. Get on power in a straight line. There's a good saying, wheels straight, accelerate. That is a good motto for this car because if you have any steering lock in on the steering, when you're on acceleration, it can step out the rear end, particularly in third gear around this corner. You see me stepping out nicely there. That is because you get the turbo bill spooling up, and then you've got 450 if you're not on boost, go into the rear axle. There's only so much grip those rear tires can do, and if they're turning the car still and dealing with that power, it's not going to end nicely, particularly on lap 1. You have to be cautious. Give it a lap or 2 to get the tires in, and then you can start pushing it. And when I say pushing it, slow into the corners and fast out of them. What does that mean? Get it into the apex nice and gently, nice and smoothly, and feed that power in nicely. Tame that oversteer because it will snap out and bite you in the rear end. Gently, gently, gently does it, and this will reward you. Avoid curbs. Curbs like the blue one are fine. Anything higher than a pebble, it will unalive you. So definitely avoid all curbs. It's got a very stiff chassis. I presume to deal with the the oval G-forces that go around the corner, but it seems to have a very, very stiff suspension setup and a very, very stiff chassis. So taking curbs is a big no-no. Overtaking in the thing, be very, very cautious with that because it is easy, as I do there. I don't know if you can see it yet. Front left locking up. It's an undulation of the circuit at the corkscrew. It will lock up a front tyre. Bear that in mind because technically you've lost half your grip for turning in for the corner now. So again, easy into the corners and use its horsepower and boost if you need to at the corners. You can turn off the boost at any time, so if you feel like you're a little bit slow, losing a bit of time, put that boost on for 5 seconds and it will negate the losses that you made on corner entry. Again, slow is fast. I know it's a weird thing to say, but this car will really reward you getting the speed off into the corner getting the car rotated nicely and feeding that power in nice and smooth. Absolutely key to be crystal clear. I do hope this car survives, but it is a little bit of a challenge to drive, and I think that might turn some people off. But if you give it some time, give it some love, I'm sure you get used to it. Thanks very much for watching. Catch you on the next one.